The rest of the story. David Lyall rubbed his eyes and looked again. No, the tiny creature scurrying about David's garden was not a mouse, as he had at first imagined. It was something else. It was a tiny bird. By the way, welcome to Stevens Island, a square mile of earth lying off the north coast of the South Island of New Zealand. There's a lighthouse on Stevens Island. David Lyall, more than 100 years ago, was its keeper. There was not much in the way of amusement at that lonely little outpost until now, until the sudden, unexpected appearance of that scooting, scurrying little bird. A unique discovery, David decided, and he knew unique when he saw it. For as any New Zealand schoolchild ought to know, there was once a distinguished surgeon in the Royal Navy named Dr. David Lyall, and his career took him all over the world. He'd even served on an Arctic expedition under Franklin and on an Antarctic expedition under Belcher. Dr. Lyall was a man of few words and much learning. Such was his scientific depth that the Aberdeen-educated MD was as valued by the Navy as a naturalist as he was a physician. Lyall's botanical expertise was near legendary. His herbarium, his mounted collection of dried plants, included no fewer than 1,500 species. It's reverently noted in textbooks to this day. Dr. Lyall retired from the Navy in 1873, having attained the rank of Deputy Inspector General of Hospitals and Fleets. He retired fully pensioned, it seems, to Stevens Island and to the supervision of its lighthouse. But history had not yet turned its gaze from the illustrious scientist and adventurer, for it was on Stevens Island that Dr. Lyall encountered this little bird that ran like a mouse. Enter Henry Travers of Wellington, New Zealand. It was to Mr. Travers that David Lyall entrusted a specimen of that remarkable bird, and in turn it was to an ornithologist named Rothschild that Mr. Travers passed it along. In 1894, to the Ornithologists' Club in London, Rothschild presented the specimen, caused quite a stir, because you see that specimen of that bird represented a species even then extinct. Even then extinct. Honoring its discoverers, science would thereafter officially refer to it as Traversia lyalli. We call it the Stevens Island wren. It had once lived throughout New Zealand. It had lived its last generations and died out on Stevens Island. Ornithologists note that Stevens Island's wren, lacking natural enemies for millennia, became the only known flightless songbird anywhere, inasmuch it sang a moral to posterity, avian and otherwise, that sometimes being hunted makes you stronger. For that bird, discovered and extinct in the same year, went from singing to scientific specimen because it could not fly away from Tibbles, the lighthouse keeper David Lyall's pet cat. Now you've met the bird that ran like a mouse, and now you know the rest of the story.